It's Ron Reader digs the universe. I'm Ron Reader, and this is Ron Reader Digs the Universe, and tonight, Superman in the Age of Batman. A few years back, Hurricane Harvey inspired the San Jacinto River to swallow up the first floor of the home in Kingwood where I grew up, which resulted in my taking full possession of the comic book collection I had assembled over my life until 2004, when I quit buying new issues in order to go to grad school to save money. It's a lot of comic books. I have been slowly rereading a lot of Batman family titles from the late 90s, and I have to say, they are all excellent, much better than I remember them being first time around when I read them. Very solid, very consistent, excellent writers, excellent stories, great artists, a freaking Batman renaissance in hindsight. Well, I finally ran out of the Batman stacks I had pulled and decided to try the same thing with the Superman titles I bought in the late 90s. I didn't remember them as being too good, but figured, I really enjoyed the Batman stuff from that era. Maybe I'll like the Superman stuff. The recent storm and power outage, 4 days here in my apartment, well, that gave me an excellent opportunity to read some comic books, and let me tell you, that Superman stuff, well, it's just total shit. It's a lot worse than I remember it being. Now don't get me wrong, I fucking love Superman. I have a complete run of the title Superman from 1972 to 2004. I'm a huge fan of the Christopher Reeve movies. I like most of his animated incarnations. He is one of my all-time favorite superheroes. But there's something wrong with him in the last quarter century or so, and every few years I'll buy a new Superman comic off the racks to check it out, and it's always the same awkward, boring, misguided snooze fest as the 90s. And that's it, just like in the movies too. Compare that to Batman, who continues to be DC's strongest character since his massive comeback in the 1980s. All his movies are successful, spin-off character movies are successful, the comics themselves continue to be excellent. What is up with this imbalance of quality and care within the world's finest super team? We always have to remember that Superman and Batman are creations of the Great Depression, and you can't really separate that notion from their identities. Batman represents fear of crime, of financial ruin, of being destitute and vulnerable. Batman dwells in the darkness of the 1930s forever. Superman, in contrast, is the Great Depression's patriotic optimism. Happy days are here again, truth, justice, the American way, the alien who's much more human than powerless billionaire Bruce Wayne could ever be. Superman radiates the Great Depression's hopeful light. We're all in this together. We're gonna get it done. Dissident writer Noam Chomsky, in fact, has observed this dark light Depression-era cultural dichotomy when asked about how attitudes then differ from attitudes today. He went on to observe that today, we have no hope or optimism, not like the 1930s. Today, Americans are all alone together and afraid. Essentially, if I am to understand Noam Chomsky correctly, we live in the age of Batman. Great Depression-style darkness, but with no balancing light. What good is Superman for an America without hope? All my life, I've been told that America sucks. by the left, who actually make really good criticisms, but also by the right, which has gone mad in their hatred for everyone in America. When everybody, for whatever reasons, thinks America is a joke, then Superman is a joke. That is, it's not that the character has changed or has any flaws or weaknesses that has been causing his difficulties, but rather that we have changed. We're all much more like Batman now than we are like Superman, driven by fear instead of hope. Maybe someday some brilliant writer will come along and figure out how to get Superman's optimism to work in this deeply pessimistic era, but I don't know if that's really possible. I'm Ron Reeder, and this has been Ron Reeder Digs the Universe. Join me, Ron Reeder, again next week for another episode of Ron Reeder Digs the Universe.